everyone, it's Becky from Book Obsessed Becky. I want to apologize for not getting a video out last week. My husband was on vacation, so we were just doing things in the yard and I just got super busy and didn't get a chance to record. But today's video is going to be my June wrap-up. And I have read 7 books this month, and one of them was a buddy read, which is my first buddy read ever, and it was super exciting. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Some of the books were Kindle books, one was an audio book, and the rest are physical books. So let's jump in. I have my notebook, just to kind of keep track of things. The first book I'm going to talk about is called Guncle, and it's by Rowley, and this is the book that I listened to on audio, and I have to say that I absolutely loved GUP. GUP stands for Gay Uncle Patrick, and that's what his niece and nephew call him, and I loved his character. I don't even know. He was so funny, but he was so, like, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess let me just tell you what the book is about. So, Gup, or Patrick, he is friends with a woman, and she passes away due to cancer. Now, this woman is also his brother's wife, so it's his sister-in-law, and the brother and sister-in-law have 2 kids. Well, once he discovers that his friend passes away, he heads home. Patrick is a movie star. He had a show on daytime television, or I don't know, something, and it had quite a few seasons, and he had a tragedy happen in his life before his friend passed away that kind of made it so that he didn't want to be acting anymore, and he kind of disappeared into the desert and lived there for a while because he was kind of grieving his own loss, and he kind of went inside of himself. And if you've lost somebody that you love, sometimes that can happen. Like, you just don't really know how to function, I guess, after the person passes. So that kind of happened with Patrick. Well, when his friend passed away, his sister-in-law, he heads home to Connecticut to be with his family and to support his brother and their children. And something happens with the brother. Like, the brother says something to Patrick that makes it so that Patrick ends up taking the children back with him to California. And he's trying to help these 2 kids. They're both very young, like, I think maybe one is 10 and the other one's younger than that. He's trying to help them grieve the loss of their mother. But the thing is he's grieving the loss of his friend as well. And he's really struggling because there's a lot of, like, acknowledgement for the children who lost their mother. There's a lot of acknowledgement for the parents of the person that died, or for the spouse of the person that died, but there's not much acknowledgement for the friend or friends of the person that died. So he's trying to, like, kind of navigate his own loss while helping these 2 children navigate the loss of their mom. But he also has loss in his background that he's still trying to navigate, that he never really got over. And you know, they're typical little kids. The little boy is crazy and has a million questions, like crazy with energy, you know what I mean? And has a million questions like, how come the clouds don't fall? Or how do you eat ice cream without elbows? Or, you know, things like that. Whereas the daughter is a bit older and really understands what's going on. And of course she's a preteen girl and she just lost her mom. So she's really struggling with that whole situation. And yeah, he's doing his best. He comes up with GUP rules for life that the kids kind of need to follow. And of course, GUP is not really a children kind of person, like a kid kind of person. So this is a whole new experience for him. And I think he does a great job. He's very sensitive to their needs. He is funny. He's sarcastic. He treats them like people and not just like children. I really loved his character. I will say that I read this book right after my friend died from cancer. And so there were parts of it that I really struggled in. Like, I cried a lot through the book, but I also laughed a lot through the book. So just kind of keep that in mind if you've lost somebody, especially recently. Maybe just be mindful of that when you read this book. And there's also a bit in there about addiction, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I thought it was a great story, and I will definitely be reading the next one in the series. Okay, another book that I read was Buried in a Good Book by, I think it's Tamara Berry. Yeah, this book had me laughing. I was totally sold, like, in the first couple of pages of this book. So this is about Tess. She is a thriller writer, and her husband recently divorced. She has a teenage daughter, and she figures the best way for the daughter and her to deal with the divorce is to take the daughter to her grandfather's cabin that she inherited, which is out in the middle of nowhere, and it has no internet, no electricity, no plumbing, nothing. But she thinks it's the perfect solution because the daughter's father kind of is like, I don't want to say neglecting his daughter, but he's not being the parent that he should be. And of course, the teenage girl is very much into social media and things like that. And Tess figures if she doesn't have access to the internet and phone service, then it's not going to hit as hard if she doesn't hear from her dad, because there's no way of accessing that kind of stuff where they're going. Versus if they stay in their city home, then obviously she has access to a phone and all that stuff. So the mother thinks it would be worse for the daughter to be in that environment, seeing that her father isn't paying her the attention that she needs. So they end up in this little town in the middle of nowhere, in the woods, and like in the first couple of pages, they get to the cabin and the mother is saying things like, oh, I bet there's all kinds of dead bodies in here or under the cabin. And the daughter's like, you're such a freak, Mom. Only you would think of that. And then they hear like these loud boom noises. So of course Tess, I think the daughter's name is Gertrude. Yeah, Gertrude. Tess tells Gertrude to wait there. She's going to go check out the noise. Well, of course, Gertrude's not going to do that. I think she's a 14-year-old girl. So she follows her mother. And they discover what the boom noise is. It's somebody throwing dynamite into a pond to like have the fish like explode out of the water for fishing, I guess. And this man comes charging at Tess and yells, get down, and kind of like jumps on her. And like the crazy thing is when all of this is going down, like body parts start flying out of the pond. And I'm not spoiling anything because this is literally right in the first chapter. And the way that they handle it, I mean, it sounds so gruesome and bad, but the way that it's handled had me laughing so hard. And after that first chapter, I was sold on this book. I loved this book. I flew through it. And I will definitely be reading the next one. It made me giggle. And there's Bigfoot in here too. So that was a whole other like dynamic to the murder mystery that's also going on in here. And the sheriff, she compares a lot to the detective in the series that she writes, and it's such a good time. It's such a quick read, and I'm excited to read the next one in the series. Okay, so I am in a new book club, and the book that we read in the month of June was The Honey Witch. And okay, first of all, the cover's amazing. This is a cozy fantasy. There were mixed reviews in the book club about it. Some people just really were not into it. I loved it. I took it for what it was, which was just a cozy fantasy, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't expect too much out of it. I was totally there for the vibes, and this book definitely delivered on the vibes. So if you think kind of Halloween Town, it's kind of got the Halloween Town vibes, where you've got the young woman that discovers that her grandmother is a witch, and her mother doesn't want her to participate in becoming a witch because the mother herself ran away from it, but the daughter decides she wants to become a witch, so she goes with her grandmother and she becomes the next Honey Witch. And there's an evil sorceress or whatever that she has to battle. It takes place on a little island. The island is full of magic. She cares for the creatures that are there, like the little spirits that guard certain things. She can see them, and they help her kind of guard the island, and her and her grandmother guard the island. And her whole world revolves around these honeybees and how honey gives like power and healing. And I'm probably not describing this in the best way at all, but if you love cozy fantasy and you're there for like cottagecore vibes, and you loved Halloween Town, and you like Regency, then definitely give this one a go, because it does kind of start out with like Regency vibes, where the mother is trying to marry off the daughter. And there were some funny lines in here, like I've tagged some stuff, and right at the beginning there was some lines that made me giggle. So like, for example, on page 7, it says the mother's talking to the daughter, and the daughter's name is Marigold. So the mother says, do try to find someone's company at least mildly enjoyable tonight. Lady Claude pleads. You're not getting any younger, you know. She adjusts her corset as much as she can without breaking a rib. Marigold's 21. And to me, it's hilarious that the mother's like, you know, you're getting to be an old woman. You need to get married already. Like, you're way behind. Like, let's step it up and get moving. And Marigold's like, no, I'm not marrying anybody. Like, this is not for me. I am going to be single. I have no interest in being a wife or a mother. And, like, there's a constant battle going on there. Meanwhile, she also has a brother and a sister. And the sister's all about wanting to get married, and the brother's all about wanting to be in a relationship. But I loved this book. I don't know. On page, like, I don't even know what page it is. I think it's page 1. There's a line in it that says, this ball is the first event since her 21st birthday. So now she has a few months to marry before she's deemed an old, insufferable hag. You know, at 21, like, I can't imagine being considered an old, insufferable hag when I was 21, because, like, you're just starting your life, you know, but it wasn't like that during the time of this book. So you go from Regency vibes to like Halloween Town type vibes to cottagecore type vibes, and then you've got the evil witch in there, and the spirits and the bees, and I loved it. There is romance in here. There's LGBTQ rep. There's, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I loved it. There's everything in this book, and if that sounds good to you, then definitely pick this one up. Okay. Then I've got, now I never know how to say her name, but yours truly, I'm not going to pronounce her name because I'll probably say it wrong. I don't know if it's pronounced with a J or not, so I'm just not even going to go there. But yours truly is a continuation from Part of Your World, which I have over here somewhere, which I really enjoyed that book last year. This is the second book in that series. We're following Bree. I think her name is Brienne. And it is Alexis's friend that, I think her name was Alexis in the first book, that we met. And Brianna is a doctor. She's an ER doctor. She works in a hospital, a big hospital. And she is hoping to get a promotion. Well, this new doctor moves to, I don't know, like he doesn't move to town, comes to this hospital to work in the ER department, and Brianna is convinced that he is there to take the job promotion that she wants. Now, Brianna is recently separated from her husband. She's waiting for the divorce to be finalized. Her brother has kidney failure, and he is desperately in need of a donor. And since his kidney failure had begun, his mental health went down the crap hole, and he's got major depression. He doesn't take care of himself. He doesn't see any point in it because his life is nothing now, is kind of how he views it. So she's super stressing about the upcoming divorce, but also about her brother, and now this new doctor coming in and potentially taking over the job that she wants. So she's got a lot going on. There's some serious PTSD stuff going on, some like serious anxiety, so definitely mental health triggers in here if that's something you need to worry about. There's also pregnancy, loss, like this book has got it all. But if you enjoy books that have a lot of mixed media, like text messages and letters and things like that, then I think you would like this book. It is a romance, obviously, but it does deal with deeper issues, like I said, especially mental health issues. And we get to know the new doctor in here, and his name is Jacob, and he suffers from serious social anxiety. And the first, I think, is like the first day of his the first day at the new hospital, he gets this nickname from his coworkers who don't like him already, and it's like Dr. Death, because he has a whole bunch of patients that die on him that day, and it's not anything to do with the way he is like treating them. It's like underlying issues that they have, whatever. But he starts out kind of rough, and him and Brianna don't get off to a good start. Some things happen, and she just is all set to hate him. And then he ends up writing her a letter explaining about his social anxiety, and they get to know each other in letter form, and it's just such a good story. It's so romantic. There's fake dating in here. It's just, I loved it. I loved everything about it. And I didn't have my tabs, but I don't know if you can tell, but I did a lot of like page folding, which is not something I normally do in a book. Normally I just tag it so that I can underline it and find it again, but I didn't have any little like sticky tags, so I was left to dog-earing the book. But there's so many great lines in here, and I really loved this story. I think I flew through it in like a day or two. There's this little bit I want to read to you that says, "We're a little broken, Brianna. We're a mosaic. We're made up of all those we've met and all the things we've been through. There are parts of us that are colorful and dark and jagged and beautiful, and I love every piece of you, even the ones you wish didn't exist." If you love lines like that, then you're definitely going to love this book. It was so good. Then I moved into, because after I finished this one, I had to know what happened next, so I picked up the newest one, which is Just for the Summer, and I think I might have loved this one even more than yours truly. This one has, again, serious mental health issues that check triggers, because it could definitely be very upsetting for some. But there's like PTSD in here, there's anxiety, like there's all kinds of stuff in here. And this book is about Emma, and she is cursed in love, or so she believes, because every person that breaks up with her goes on to find their soulmate. And she ends up meeting this guy named Justin through a post or something that she had seen, and he suffers from the same curse. Everybody that he dates goes off to find their soulmate as well. And she is a traveling nurse, so she spends so much time in different areas, and he tries to convince her to come to, I think it's Minnesota where he is, and maybe they can help each other break the curse by going through and dating one another in a similar way that they've dated other people, and do it for so long and then break it off, and then hopefully they'll go to find their true love. But it says here, has fate finally brought the perfect pair together, or will their cure be way more hazardous than the curse itself? And so we're following along with that story. Sorry, I'm nervous. I'm saying a lot, and I apologize. It's been a hot minute since I've done this. But yeah, I really enjoyed getting to know these characters, and there are, is it like cameos or reappearances or whatever from the previous book. So there's characters from this book that end up in this book, and the same with the Part of Your World books. Those characters end up in here, especially some of those characters from the first book. So if you want to read this series, you probably, I mean, you don't have to, but the author, I saw a TikTok that she did, she recommended starting from Part of Your World and then moving to yours truly, and then going for just for the summer, because she said that she likes putting Easter eggs in books and you're not going to realize what they are until you've read them in order. But this involves like, I don't know if you'd call it fake dating, because they're dating, but it's not like they're dating to have a relationship. It's they're dating to break a curse so that they go on and find the person that they're meant to be with. But you've got that going on. You've got a parent going to prison. You've got a lot of PTSD going on. You've got neglect going on. You have found family going on, and not like found family as in like a bunch of friends get together and they become family, but actual found family members that they didn't know existed. The friendship vibes are totally there. Not Brianna. See, I'm thinking about the other book. The other book. Emma is a girl in this one, and she has this friend that she's had since, I guess they were kids. They went to nursing school together. They've been roommates, and they are both traveling nurses, and they travel all over, and they each get to pick, like they do 6 weeks somewhere, and then the next one gets to pick where they go next. So it really is a fun book. There's lots of traveling in it, and I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for her to come out with another book. I don't think there's any more books in this series. I wouldn't be sad though if there was. She's a great author. I really appreciate how she touches down on mental health issues. And I read somewhere that when she talks about mental health issues, she has like counselors or whatever kind of helping her write the characters, like their symptoms and things accurately, I guess. And I thought that she did a great job with that on both of these books, because I'm somebody that struggles with mental health issues, so I could relate very much to these characters. So yeah, those are the physical books I have. Then I read Mind Games by Nora Roberts, and I loved this book. I had gotten it recently, and it's her newest release, and it was creepy. There is a serial killer in it. We're following the serial killer who has a psychic ability, and we're following he's one of the main characters. I think his name is Ray, and then we're following the two kids and the grandmother. So the two kids live in Virginia, and every summer their parents take them to Kentucky where the grandmother lives. I think her name is Lucy. It's been a hot minute since I've read the book. But so they take a road trip every summer to Kentucky to drop off the kids for 2 weeks to spend with their grandmother, and then the parents head home and they get to have kind of 2 weeks free without their kids, to spend quality time together. And the kids are always so excited to go. This year is no different. They're pumped to get there. They're excited for when their parents leave so that they have their grandmother all to themselves. She's on a farm. She runs a business, like if you think like an Etsy business, but it's not Etsy because at the time she's not online, but kind of the same deal. She makes candles and soaps and like tonics and such for people. And the kids help her with these things, and they chase after the farm animals, and they love spending their 2 weeks there every year. So as the parents are heading home, everything is going fine. The mother goes to the grocery store one day, and she's thinking about this romantic evening that she's going to have with her husband and how they're going to grill and have this delicious food. And what she doesn't realize is that grocery trip is going to change her life, her husband's life, and the kids and grandmother's life forever, because she runs into the man that is going to kill her and her husband. This is right in the beginning of the book. I'm not spoiling anything. And the thing is, as Ray, I really think that's his name. I think. He is an 18-year-old. He is just so creepy. He spots a watch that the woman is wearing, and he's created this whole narrative in his head about this woman, and her life and how she doesn't deserve these things and he deserves these things and how she's lazy and she's just a skank and all of these things. And he kind of follows her home and he's like scoping out the place, and he waits until nighttime, and when they're sleeping he goes into the home and he kills them. Well, when he's doing this, he feels like somebody is watching him, and the picture on the wall of the little girl really freaks him out so much that he takes the picture with him when he leaves. And the thing is, like, when the murders are happening, the grandmother and the daughter are having the dream of the murders happening. And once the parents are gone, the grandmother and the daughter wake up, and the little girl runs to her grandmother's room and sees that her grandmother is crying on the bed, and the little girl, of course, is crying because they also share this connection where they can see things. They're psychic as well. So the grandmother only saw bits and pieces of what happened, whereas the daughter is the one that was watching it all happen. Remember, Ray kind of felt like somebody was watching him the whole time, and he took the picture of the little girl. She kind of was watching him the whole time, and she was able to see what he looks like when he went to the mirror and he was like going through the mother's jewelry. He looks up in the mirror, and that's how the little girl sees him. So the grandmother calls the police, and remember, they're in Kentucky and this happens in Virginia, and she explains what she thinks has happened. And the policeman is her friend, like they grew up together, and he knows her abilities. So he contacts the police station in Virginia, and it turns out that it wasn't a nightmare. It actually did happen, and the little girl was able to help the detectives track down Ray and get him in prison. So that's really how the story begins. This is all right in the beginning. Again, I'm not spoiling anything. And we're following Ray in prison and how he kind of reads people's minds, and he tries to get like the guards. I was going to say wardens. It's not wardens. The guards. He tries to get them on his side so that maybe he can break out. He tries to get the inmates to kill themselves. Like, he's just an awful, awful person. And he also creeps in on the little girl's life through her mind. So we're watching that all happen, and we're also watching the little girl as she's growing up and how she's dealing with the loss of her parents and how she deals with Ray, like trying to creep in, and how her grandmother is teaching her how to block him out. And the detectives stay in touch with her, and there's more than just this murder that we're looking at. There's another serial killer out there that she may have to get involved with to help. It's such a great story. I don't normally read things that give me the creeps or nightmares, but this book definitely did. I'm pretty sure the guy's name is Ray. So my camera cut out, but Ray is so creepy. He would wake me up in the night with the nightmares. So if you enjoy like a good thriller or romance kind of a story with like psychic abilities and all of that, like small town country people and everything, then definitely give this one a go. I thought it was really good. The last book that I read was on my Kindle. Mind Games was on my Kindle as well. It is called Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. So I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries last year, maybe? I can't remember. I really liked it. This is the buddy read that I did as well. So I don't know what to say other than it is cozy fantasy. It gave all the vibes. I think I like this one better than the first one. I loved this story. For me, Wendell makes the whole like book. He is so funny. There isn't much I can say about it because I don't want to give anything away from the first one, but Emily deals with fairies. Like, she studies fairies. She is trying to create this map of different fairy doors and realms or whatever, and she works for Cambridge. Wendell also works for Cambridge. Wendell has a thing for Emily. Well, they set out together to search for a certain fairy door, and so many things happen along the way. We're introduced to new characters. We meet a member of Emily's family, and Wendell, like I said, is hilarious the whole time. Emily is all about, let's get the job done. You know, she's very matter of fact, whereas Wendell is much more, okay, we need to decorate the house so that it's comfortable to live in. I want to have good food, but I don't want to do a lot of the work, and my clothes need to look nice. But they're supposed to be roughing it and finding this like spot, and he is very much a diva, whereas she is very much like, I don't care if I get dirty, let's go do this thing already. They play off each other so well. It's such a good story. And like I said, if you love cozy fantasy, then give this one a go. If you loved Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries, then definitely give this one a go, because I really think I like this one better than the first one. And the next one comes out, I think, in February. I think I read that it comes out in February. So I'm excited to dive into that book. And yeah, those are the books I read in the month of June. Not too bad. 7 books, 1 audio, a couple of Kindle, and then the rest were physical. I loved every book that I read this month, so that's good. Not this month, last month. And I'm hoping that July is a successful reading month as well. Have you read any of these books? Which ones have you read? What are you reading now? Anything good? Anything I should be reading? And I hope everybody is doing well, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye!